Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Misha. Thank you guys for joining me yet again for another review. We are back with a brand new review for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Season 12 Reunion Part 1. If you are new here, then welcome. I give lighthearted reviews with a little bit of laughter and a little bit of shade and a whole lot of detail. If you're back for a second or third time, then welcome back. Y'all, please don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. Now, child, let's get into it if we're going to get into it. When the episode first opens up, you know, they show us a little bit of the trailer that we've been seeing all over the internet, okay? So we revisit the trailer. So the ladies come on out. Andy speaks to everyone as usual. Hey, girl. Hey, Kyle, you're finally blonde. Erica, what are we going for? A scammer Barbie. But honey, let's see what she had to say. She's like, when in doubt, give them Ginger from Casino. Girl, you would be Ginger. So he tells them that they all look chic. He goes over to Renna. He's like, Renna. She's like, yeah, I'm carrying Lois with me, so I feel like she's protecting me. Girl, don't try to play on our sympathies, okay? Pulling out Lois out your purse. We like Lois, but we don't really care for you, okay? Moving forward. So again, he tells them they all look chic. And for me, Beverly Hills is the only cast to just put on any old thing. And I do mean any old thing. It's not a theme in sight. It really amazes me. All that money in the room and they always give Claire's. Honey, and Claire's don't even sell clothes. Child is just a fool, honey. So he's like, well, you know, one housewife couldn't be here. Diana Jenkins, she's not feeling well. Diana don't never feel well when it's time to show up. Please let her leave and never return, okay? She just don't want to face backlash. Nothing is wrong with Diana. She's very particular about the spaces that she's in. I've noticed that throughout the season when she barely showed up to wherever. She doesn't want to interact with the other ladies by living in the same house or staying in the same house or whatever. She doesn't want to go to stores because she's itching, but then she'll go to certain stores because she's not itching. And then she's just weird. Okay? Weird. So he said, well, she's going to check in from home. It's not necessary, but y'all, she's going to show up anyway. So then Andy brings up the charities of the season and how we all had a good laugh, and you know they have to start with homeless and toothless. Oh Lord. So he said, well, the Daily Beast named Kathy's, well, he didn't say Kathy, but it was Kathy's moment, named the homeless and toothless moment the funniest moment on TV, the funniest 8 minutes. It truly was hilarious, because I mean, I died laughing. He said, does everybody know how to say it now? Everybody looking like, child, we really don't care, but let's get into it. He was like, all right, let's say it together. Homeless, not toothless. Child is giving kindergarten class, okay? I said, not y'all saying it in unison, honey. This is a fool. So then he asked Dorit, what was so chic about the wind chimes? Dorit said, the wind chimes were chic. I mean, you usually don't see that. And when they showed it again, Dorit is actually right. The wind chimes get very chic. I was like, oh, okay, honey, it is chic. So he's like, well, you know, Jamie Lee Curtis is here. Psych, I'm just kidding. So everybody's like, oh my gosh. So then she sashays out, honey, with her suit on. They all squealing. I'm like, oh Lord, here we go. Why are y'all squealing in here as if you didn't just see her at Kyle's house? I mean, I think Garcelle was the only one that was absent. It may have been Garcelle and Erica, but everybody else should just be all right. So they fan out, honey. After they fanned out, she tells Dorit, because of her genuine enthusiasm, her charity did very well. I don't know about the genuine part. Andy's enamored with all things Jamie Lee Curtis. Andy's such a cloud chaser. Anybody with notoriety, Andy is all in, honey. He don't care whether they good, bad, or indifferent. Now, Jamie Lee Curtis is awesome. I'm not speaking about her. I'm just saying in general. Andy loves connections. Honey, he wants to be connected to the who's who. So she tells them that she rebranded her charity, the Chicest Children's Charity. Oh, okay. So chic, chic, chic. And she arranged for the ladies to have specially carved, housewives pumpkins, and she's going to put them in their dressing rooms and whatnot. So then they speak about Halloween, and she's like, it's coming out October 14th, which would be tomorrow. So not only did Jamie Lee come out and plug that charity once more, she also came out and plugged that movie, because y'all know it's talking about Halloween ends, but we all know Halloween does not end, honey. It's like lamb chops. It keeps on going. It goes on and on, my friends. Honey, it's gonna continue, okay? And as much as y'all put them out, the people gonna watch them. Jamie says she didn't realize the impact of the show because her charity did really well, which is probably why she's back tonight, because we have never had an impromptu stop by on a Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion, but I guess she saw what the reception was when she made a cameo on the show. So she wanted to relive that. So here we are. That just proves, though, the power of these Housewives franchises. This is the power that you guys have, and you can really do so much good with the platform instead of all this foolishness. Beverly Hills used to be about the galas and the opulence. It was some mess thrown in, but they have gotten so far removed from showing all things exciting. You know, we live through the Housewives because, you know, you want those things and you want to drive those cars, but yeah, it's not like that no more. Moving forward. So Andy said, well, can I ask a dumb question? Here go Erica. When don't you? I'm just kidding. He's like, whoa, here she go. I'm just a little bitter. Child, only a little? Okay. So when they return, they touch on the disgusting things that happened with Garcelle's son. Now, unless you've been under a rock, you already know what was going on with her 14-year-old son. Now, not only did Erica have some old crazy, ignorant stuff to say, but now the people on the Twitter and everywhere else are harassing this young boy. He's like, well, Rena, you were the first person to speak out about it. Why was that? Because a hit dog will always holler. Honey, her and Diana Jenkins were the main suspects, and they ain't fooling me. Okay? It wasn't Diana by herself. She had a co-conspirator, allegedly, and they ain't fooling me. So Garcelle said, you know, they sent him her Playboy pictures, and I was like, dang, that is awful. Like, who hates her that bad that they want to send her pictures to her son? She said someone said to him if he weren't half white or if it wasn't for his white dad, that he would have a knee on his neck. When I tell you the thoughts that must have gone through this baby's head, Rena sitting there acting so appalled, honey, acting her ass off. Acting is the operative word. Like, it's just ridiculous. Then he said, well, it really sucks the amount of social media bullying that you all get. So then they show the tweet made to Portia sitting up next to Kyle. I am sorry, but the two do not compare. Now, both of them are innocent kids, don't get me wrong. But Kyle sat up there with Dorit and skinned and grinned when it came to the situation with Erica and Jax. So, quite frankly, I don't want to see no tweet about whatever they said to Portia. And calling her mama a bully is not the same as him having a knee on his neck. Okay? The world was up in arms when that happened to George Floyd. So the fact that somebody decided to send an innocent child a text message like that, that is not the same as saying, how do you feel because your mom's a bully? Even the text message bullying is different if you have any trace of black in you. So, I mean, I just really didn't even want to see that. I was like, okay, let's move on. So Erica's like, I don't feel like they should threaten our lives. So Andy said, well, it was bots. So somebody had to be behind it. Do you think it was someone in this group, Garcelle? So then the camera pans over to Rena. She's like, yeah, I feel like they want me out. So to get me out, they targeted my kids. And I believe so too. And Garcelle, I am so happy that you are finally waking up to see that these women do not want you in their space. See, the thing is, when you put a black woman in a white space, it's hard for her. And they don't try to understand where she's coming from. They don't try to understand her plight or any of that. It's all about them. And I believe that, you know, this was a way to push her out. And I'm telling you right now, they wouldn't have to push me out because I would never have agreed to even sit with these heifers anyway, because I'm too good for that. Like the way that they treated Garcelle at the end of this episode, I was like, child, please, I would never return. So she said, I feel like it was a pattern in attacking my kids. But, you know, I have an ongoing investigation. I know that's right, honey. Get to the bottom of it. So Andy tells the trolls out there in TV land, you know, this is a TV show. You can love them or you can hate them, but there's no room for hate. And Bravo condemns it. And I was happy that he spoke out, but it didn't give me any feel behind it. It felt like written for you, read it and say it. But maybe that's just me. Moving forward. So then we switch gears to the break-in with Dorit and PK. So Andy asked, you know, how her life has changed. And she said it's hard for her to get out of bed some days. You know, her marriage, they were fussing and fighting. And things are just different now. So Andy asked why Kyle was so upset when Dorit's home got broken into. And she was like, well, I mean, we live walking distance and they're very close. So here Mauricio and I are just sleeping. And she's going through that. Kyle, I wish you cared about your sisters the way you care about these heifers. I'm sure they would really appreciate it if you cared about your family, even a fraction of how you care and or defend these women that could care less to spit on you if you on fire. I'm just saying. So then Andy said, well, Dorit, your mom instinct kicked in. Like, what was going on? She said, I mean, it was just me being a mom. If I tried to not be a threat, then I felt like I could save my babies. And that's what I did. So Andy goes, well, a lot of people supported you, but there were also a lot of naysayers. Honey, I was one of the naysayers. I ain't gonna lie to you. They were asking, who leaves the phone by the gate and why would the robbers leave the phone by the gate? Oh, Andy, don't forget, the phone was lit up. Not only did they leave it by the gate, they gave her a smoke signal so that she was able to find said phone. Don't forget that. I'm sorry, honey. That was just unbelievable to me. Now, they can say whatever they want to say, and Dorit can sit here and perform how she wants to, honey, been getting tips from Rena, but I don't buy it. I don't buy it. So then a lady named Sarah said they feel like PK orchestrated it. Yeah, it was a plot and a scheme that PK set up to come at us with the bush. Okay, and that's just what it is. So she was like, yeah, I'm really struggling to get out of bed. It's not something that you can orchestrate. Ma'am, it most definitely is. Okay. Now, were you aware of said orchestration? Probably not. But ma'am, you can orchestrate a robbery. It can be done. So Andy asked, why they let her have her phone. He's like, why do you think they let you have your phone? She said, because I was calm and I showed them where everything was. And I said, please leave my phone by the gate so I can call my husband. And so they did that. Well, Barney did teach us please and thank you are the magic words. But you need to cut it out. You want me to believe that the criminals were this courteous because you asked them nicely? Nobody with any sense is going to believe that. And if you do believe that, then I don't know what to tell you, honey, because it's a lie and the truth ain't in it. So Dorit said, the robbers are still at large. I'm sure they are. So Andy yawns yet again, second year in a row while Dorit is talking. Dorit is very monotone and boring, so I get it. But Andy, if you yawn every time you hear Dorit speak, honey, it might be time to replace Dorito, honey. It might be time. So Dorit said that she was diagnosed with PTSD. So as they're going through this, Kyle is like, my burglars reached out and said they had my things. Child, Kyle can't stand for nobody else to have a moment. How long ago was that robbery, Kyle? Oh, okay. So the people called you for ransom money years later? She's like, yeah, so they told me that it was at their grandmother's house. She said, yeah, we sent him some of the money because, he sent pictures. Yeah, I sent him. Beverly Hills out of control. You let a robber exploit money out of you. So Erica said, you sent them money? That's what I want to know. Kyle is like, well, no, not a lot. I just want my things back. Kyle, that is stupid. Erica said, why would you send him a dime? He's a criminal. Child, ain't that the pot calling the kettle, calling the pot, calling the kettle, okay? So Kyle goes, I mean, it's like, isn't that funny? Like, it's funny that he did that. Erica said, no, it's not. It's called a shakedown. Kyle, please listen to the resident expert, honey. She knows what she's talking about when it comes to the scam of it all. Please listen to Erica Scammer Jane. Kyle, you should have kept that to yourself, honey. Trying to have a moment that looked like a whole fool. So then we move on to Crystal's package. Okay, this was a mess. We move on to her this season. So Crystal said, it's very important for her to speak out about her ED. And then he reads a comment from someone that said their biggest fear is somebody walking in on them while they're purging or something is happening or they're binging. So is that the way she felt when Sutton walked in on her? And she said, no, but it's tied to that because of my body dysmorphia. And I was just thinking, wow, that really makes a lot of sense. And I'm really sorry that you had to deal with that, Crystal. I really am. And I'm sorry that you're having such a struggle. But I am hoping that, through therapy and through talking to your husband and people that support you, that you can get through it. Because I can't imagine what you're going through because I haven't faced that. But I'm just hoping that you're getting the support that you need. So then Alexa from Pennsylvania asked Kyle, why is it okay to bring up your ED when Crystal brought up hers, but it wasn't okay for Sutton to bring up her miscarriage to relate to Diana? Isn't that the same? Here you go, Kyle. Yeah, it's the same. My behavior at Garcelle's party was terrible. I was drinking tequila. Kyle, please, honey, you're trying to do damage control. The only reason you're taking accountability is because you read the comments on Twitter and you saw them ripping you a new one. They were tearing you up. So that is the only reason why you are taking accountability for this. This is the only reason why. That's the only reason why you're acting like you didn't treat Sutton well. You don't really mean it. I don't believe nothing you're saying. I just don't. So then they asked Erica why she suggested Crystal take laxatives. And she was like, I thought I was being empathetic, but I learned that I can't say that. Ma'am, you are 50 years old. You don't know no better? I'm not buying that. You said it because you're ignorant and you like to say ignorant things. So don't try to act like you didn't know and you felt like you were being empathetic. I would take some laxatives. It's nothing about that sentence that sounds like I'm giving you empathy. Nothing. So she's like, yeah, I was just saying this is how I would do it. Erica, just stop talking. Okay? The Giuseppe is going further and further down your throat. Just be quiet. Moving forward. Andy said, well, you did follow it up by saying don't eat the chicken tenders. Andy took the words right out of my mouth because I was literally writing that in my notes when he said it. She's like, yeah, I mean, that was later. I mean, I did it. It was the wrong thing to do. I did it. Why don't you turn around and apologize to her? She's right there. Turn around and say, I'm sorry. I apologize for being ignorant. I was uneducated on the subject. So I said things that I thought were funny and I made an ass out of myself. And I'm sorry. Turn to her. She's right there. Baby, these questions got their foot on their necks. Do you hear me? So somebody asked Crystal how she felt about Dorit sharing with the group that she throws up. And I remember watching that episode and I thought that was so disgusting of Dorit. Dorit, you ain't got nothing else to talk about because you have no storyline and you didn't want to continue to talk about this robbery that didn't make no sense. So now you want to sit here and throw out her information in a gossipy way? So Crystal said it was not okay. Here go Dorit. Really? Yes, really. And the fact that you're surprised that it was not okay is crazy. She said, well, when you shared it, it was personal. It felt very gossipy. It really did, Dorit. Just because you don't have nothing interesting going on doesn't mean you need to sit and gossip about Crystal. The way you brought that to the group was very, y'all know she throwing up in the bathroom. It was very high school. High school around the lunch table, gossip. That's how you brought that to the group. And none of these ladies respect Crystal, except maybe Sutton and Garcelle. Not none of them. Can't stand her. So Dorit tries to explain that she didn't think it was a secret. Whether you thought it was a secret or not, it's not your job to go to someone else that's not Crystal and start talking about her throwing up in the bathroom. You know she throws up every day. Come on, Dorit. Don't be that crazy. So Crystal explains to her that when they talk in private, it's between them. And so Dorit apologized to her. Dorit knew that wasn't okay when she did it. Now on to Crystal and her saying Sutton made dark comments. So Crystal said, you know, it was my very first time talking to Sutton, but now that I know her, it's different. You know, if I heard it today, I probably wouldn't think it was so dark. So Andy said, but a year later, you did know her. Touche, Andrew. You mean now that y'all are friends, it's different. Just say that. You know, now that we're friends, it's different. Crystal knows Sutton didn't say nothing dark. She knows she didn't say nothing dark. She's like, well, I mean, it was nothing specific. It was just the general conversation that made me feel a certain way. She's like, but yeah, you guys felt like I meant it overall, right? Well, baby, what'd she say that for? They were like, no, no, we thought it was very specific. Crystal, stop backpedaling. You made it seem as though Sutton used the N-word the way that you described it. And that's just facts. The way that you were saying it made it seem like something very, very dark. So Kyle said, no, you were very specific. You said Sutton said something very dark. I can't even say it. It's so bad. Crystal said, I mean, I would say that about anybody, even today, if I didn't know them. Oh, so I wouldn't be around Crystal. Now, that's just me. Okay, I know some people were going up for Crystal like, they're bashing Crystal. No, Crystal needs to take accountability for making someone seem like a racist, honey. Certain things you just cannot do. I wouldn't be around you because you can get somebody really caught up. Plus, you thought MJ was canceled, honey. Had me second guessing for a minute. I'm like, is MJ canceled? Child, I had to ask y'all in the comments. Somebody comment down below and tell me if MJ canceled. So they all want her to say exactly what it was. She's like, what? No, it was the tone. Renna, I know you ain't turning to nobody asking them what was it specifically, because all we know is you're shook. Okay, you've been shook for 4 damn episodes, but you will not tell us exactly what happened with Kathy. So until you say it, she ain't gotta say it either. So be quiet. Girl, goodbye. But as for you, Crystal, I feel like, you know, you're switching it up, talking about it was the tone when you did make it seem like it was very specific. I feel like you got a little line problem. And that's just the facts. That's my opinion. Okay. That's just me. I feel like you got a little line problem. You went from it's very dark to it was the tone. Just say I made it up. Just say, you know, I felt like I was losing my side of things when they were talking to me and coming at me. And so I just threw out there that Sutton said something very dark. Just say that. So Andy said, but on Watch What Happens Live, I asked you about the comment and you said, no, it was worse. She's like, oh, no, sorry. Yeah, it was something different. Crystal tried to rally them to dislike Sutton because she didn't like Sutton. Okay? She just flat out made something up. This is my opinion of it. When they weren't buying what she said, she made that up. She made it seem like more than what it was. She put some stank on it. So Kyle is like, well, you're saying something totally different from what you told us. So they flash back. And she's like, this is my experience. She's like, you call my experience lying. So Garcelle said, no, not your experience. We didn't call your experience lying. We said that you said she said something dark, and I kept asking you, what did she say, in case I needed to rethink my friendship. So Kyle was like, you wanted us to believe that she said something racist. Okay, Kyle, now I'm with you when you're right. And I do feel like Crystal wanted people to believe that Sutton said something racist. That's exactly what she wanted, and now she backpedaling. That's how I feel. So Andy asked if she thought that the pool comment was offensive, and she said yes. She's like, you don't have to, but I did. Now, as far as the pool comment is concerned, the way that Sutton was saying it was, it could be, perceived as offensive. She's like, and then here's my little white kid, and there's a Chinese kid in there, and there's a black girl. It's given very much Southern lady on the porch drinking sweet tea, trying to convince me that she's not racist. And it could be offensive, the Chinese girl. And we have Crystal sitting across from her. So, of course, that could be offensive to her. So Sutton said that they've made peace with it and she understands Crystal, so the group needs to move on as well. So Rinna said, why is this okay? Why? Honey, they're not letting Crystal get off the hook, honey. To be honest, I feel like, Rinna, you're too involved in everybody else's business. You always want everybody's feet to be held to the fire. But when it's you or when it's Erica, Dorit, I don't know if Kyle is in the group anymore, you want to just move on past it. Shut up and sit back in your wig. Girl, goodbye. Moving forward. So Crystal is like, why can't we be okay? Like, why is that the problem? Andy said, well, it's great, but I watched 3 episodes wondering what she said that was dark. I know that's right, Andrew. You wasted our time, to be honest, Crystal. But I knew Crystal was not completely saying everything that was true, because I just feel like parts of her like to use loaded language. She said, why can't this be a learning experience? Andy said, well, the learning experience needs to be, don't accuse someone of saying something dark on TV. Crystal, respectfully, I feel like this group right here may not be your strong suit, because the clear age gap, it just shows. And they don't really get your zhuzh and you don't get theirs. And so I just feel like, this might not be the place for you. So Dorit said the reason it came up was because of what Garcelle was saying. And I feel like you said that to save yourself and make yourself look good. She's like, no, I never wanted to bring it up, but it's one of the biggest mistakes of my life. Girl, please. I see why those 14 friends exited stage left, child. Something ain't right. So Crystal tells Kyle all she does is harp on things instead of getting to know her. And Kyle said, I was getting to know you, but all I saw was somebody making up a story. Girl, you talking about people making up stories, and you are good friends with Pasadena snowing. The car rolled 15 times. We saw Tom in a ditch, but Tom got out of the ditch to call us, but we didn't see Tom till 6 o'clock that morning. But I found Tom and took Tom to the hospital, but told him not to work on his neck, but work on his back. Jane, and you gonna tell her all she does is make up stories? Kyle, that is laughable, honey. Let's all laugh together. Kyle, please, honey. She's like, no, you assume it's a story. What if it's my truth? Okay, Crystal, honey, we just spent 15 minutes uncovering that it was a story. Let's just move on, honey. Crystal got a little line problem. She added a little zhuzh to the story, but it's not for y'all to understand, honey. So just back up. So then Andy brings up them not knowing if it's okay to request Michael Jackson music or not. And she's like, no, I don't think it's okay. So Erica was like, why? And so Andy said, well, I guess because of the accusations. And Erica said, he beat the case. Dorit goes, yeah, but the accusations. Erica repeats, he beat the case. Well, child, we all know Erica Jane don't play about beating the case. Michael is innocent. Oh, child. Oh, Erica repeated he beat the case like 15 times, honey. Anybody that beat the case is a friend of hers, child. Anyway, hush, girl. Crystal, hush. MJ gonna still be played. Point blank in the period. So then they bring up the 14 friends not talking to her. And she said Rinna gave her good advice because they stopped talking to her after she decided to do the show. And Kyle is like, but some of them wanted to be on the show. She's like, that's why. Kyle said, no, but they were asked to be on the show. So Crystal goes, well, this was before when I got the show, like before. So she's trying to explain it. I was a little bit confused as well. So Kyle is like, didn't you just say it was after you did the show? Yes, she did, Kyle. Why are you so laser focused on what's going on here? Baby, Kyle's sitting next to Garcelle feeding off her energy or something, honey, because she is calling out every lie or misconception that Crystal tells. She said, it's very confusing. Crystal said, how? How are you confused? I just clarified it. I said, ooh, honey, the girls is fighting, child. You get mad, Crystal, because the way you explained it seemed like you're lying. It seems like you're making it seem like, okay, they decided not to be my friend because I did the show. But what Kyle is saying is that they were asked to be on the show as well. So it has to be something other than that. But Kyle, you're not friends with that friend group, so you probably don't know, child. So child, then Diana Jenkins jumps on the screen. Hey, Diana Jenkins, you look well. Don't look sick at all to me. So Andy said, for sick, you look pretty good. So Andy tells her that he knows her lawyers have been busy sending cease and desist, or as Diana Jenkins calls it, cease and exist. I'm like, girl, anyway. He said, yeah, because of the book, implying that it was about call girls. And she's like, well, nothing can be further from the truth. You know what, Diana? Those were my exact words when Andy said you couldn't be there because you were sick. It couldn't be further from the truth. Moving forward. So she's like, that book did a lot of good for a lot of people. So he asked about Jeffrey Epstein, and she's like, it's impossible. There was a picture from 1997, but in 97, I was a refugee in London without papers. I need to see the facts, honey, because you can pick any year and say you was in London as a refugee, child. We don't know you. And that's just that on that. So then he brings up how often the little lizard licks her lips. Here, little lizard. She's like, yeah, I'm trying not to. It's very unattractive. So everybody's laughing, honey. Garcelle is stone-faced. Do y'all hear me? I ain't cracked a smile yet, honey, as she shouldn't. Baby, Garcelle in these thigh-high boots giving mess around and find out. Go around and find out if you want to. She said, yeah, it's just really a nervous tick. So then they bring up her ignorance about Black content creators. So Crystal said, yeah, immediately when I heard that, I called her out on it. And I called her and she started screaming, can you believe there are Black content creators out there and they're writing bad things to troll us? And then I just knew that she didn't understand what she was saying. I'm still not buying it, honey. Crystal, you lost all credibility with me when you started talking about stuff, and then you started talking about it was the tone. It really wasn't nothing specific. And then they rolled the tape back and it looked like you lying. And I feel like she lying. So therefore it's a lie, girl. She knew exactly what Black content creators were. You can see that lady's picture on her avatar. So the fact that she looked at that picture, now it would be different if it was just a circle with an initial in it. You know how sometimes you just have those circles with the initial? You can see Philly Diva in her picture. So you looked at that picture and said, how does it feel to be a Black content creator? You meant it and you said it, and y'all ain't fooling me. Moving forward. So then Andy brings up her saying that the ladies need to put up or shut up when it comes to the victims. And she said she gave money. So Erica was like, I think it's wonderful. I bet you do. Because you are enamored with her money. So of course you think it's great. Les Sutton had done that. You would have been, you would give to victims that may not even be victims. And for what? To look good? It's pathetic. I'm not even guilty, so it doesn't matter. Child, you would have had a whole diatribe, okay, about this foolishness if Sutton would have given to them victims. You would have felt like she was going behind your back, trying to paint a picture out that you're guilty. And because y'all are friends and on the same show, it's making it seem like she paying your restitution. But now all of a sudden, since Diana doing it, I think it's wonderful. Yeah, but you're still going to have to pay no matter what Diana Jenkins does. So Diana's like, I can't be a part of the storyline and not do something. Child, I roll my eyes so hard. Everything with her just seems so fake and performative. I can't stand Diana. I just really cannot. So then he brings up the bot situation. It's when it finna get good. So he asked Garcelle if she thought Diana was behind the bots. She said yes. She said, so you think I would do that? Garcelle said, I do. I know that's right, Garcelle. Finish her. So she said, well, you obviously have a very low opinion of me to think I would be behind bullying a 14-year-old. She said, yes. When I tell y'all I stood up and clapped my hands so good, baby, Garcelle received a standing ovation from me. Do you hear me? Child, that was good to me. She didn't mince words at all. She said straight up, yes, I do think that you would do that. I thought it was you. And what else is going on? I know that's right, Garcelle. So she's like, well, I don't know how evil I must appear for you to think I would do that to Jax. You appear very evil. Your energy is very dark. Everything about you gives dark cloud. So Garcelle said, well, you also sent me threatening text. So Diana said, no, I asked her to pencil the name. So Garcelle said Jax was at his dad's house when he got a very nasty text message, which was just horrific. And the text mentioned to leave Diana Jenkins alone. So her son then posted it after responding that they've gone too far. So Garcelle said he's 14 years old. And Diana wants him to scratch out her name. He's not thinking about her name. He's just thinking about defending himself. She's like, no, protect all family, protect all. Who gives a damn about protecting you? It was your dumb bots that you hired that forgot not to mention the person that allegedly hired them. Maybe you need to hire smarter ones. So Garcelle said, when he posted it, he was thinking about protecting himself, not anybody else. So Kyle goes, no, I think what she means maybe is scratch your name out, then repost it. Kyle, the blonde dye is making you dumber than ever. Sit back and shut up. Sometimes you don't need to say nothing. Her 14-year-old son is being bullied and sent threatening text messages. And all y'all worried about is protecting precious Diana Jenkins. Garcelle, let me tell you something. I don't know how you could even share a stage with these women. This is so triggering to me. So Garcelle sits up, baby. She turned around. I said, ooh, it's going to be good, honey. She said, are you fucking kidding me? In the middle of me saving my child, I have to save all of you? This is outrageous. I know she wanted to call Kyle everything but a child of God. Her voice was breaking. Everybody just sitting there with nothing to say. I can't stand the ladies on this franchise. I cannot. And Sutton, let me just say something to you. I know you don't want to be involved, and I feel like you think, Garcelle can hold her own or whatever. But it's just amazing that Garcelle will always speak up for you. But you have absolutely nothing to say because you still want to be friends with everybody. And I'm starting to notice that about you, Sutton, and I don't like that because nobody, and I do mean nobody, was helping Garcelle. So Erica's like, well, you don't have to save me. Ma'am, please be quiet. Be quiet. So Diana's like, I understand, sweetheart. Don't sweetheart her. Okay, we don't need the sweetheart. Keep it to yourself. We don't need the condescending mess. We don't need it. So Andy asked, well, what was the threatening message? And Garcelle said, it said, if anything happens to my family, I'm coming for you. And, basically, she needs to be off the show. Like, she needs to go. She said, no, I meant legally. Garcelle said, a threat is a threat. Crickets. Y'all ain't got nothing to say? Y'all sure had something to say when it was Crystal. Y'all ain't got nothing to say? Okay. Where's the peanut gallery? Why is nobody chiming in? So then Diana Jenkins is like, my family has been murdered. It has been. Girl, please. Don't try to play on people's emotions, honey, because it ain't working. I don't feel no ways about it. Could care less. Okay? It ain't moving me in the slightest. So she keeps on going, right? Garcelle said, I'm not talking to her anymore. Because I could tell Garcelle was really getting pissed. And she was just like, let me just be quiet. I'm not saying nothing else. She tried everything in her to refrain from going off and being told that she was aggressive, etc. Because when we are in those spaces, we are not allowed to feel, we are not allowed to have any emotions, and we are not allowed to voice those opinions and or emotions. And it's so evidently clear. Like the stupidity that Rena tried to do on the finale when she said, well, why do I see an attitude with a little neck roll? It's just, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. She's like, well, I'm going to help you protect your child. No, thanks. She don't need no help, honey. She got it. He got a mama, a daddy. He's good. So Andy asked Garcelle, well, what would you want to say to Diana if she were here? She here. She right on that Zoom camera. She said, I want to know why she's so obsessed with me. It's giving Mariah Carey and Eminem. She's like, because you're so gorgeous. This is ignorance at its finest. Pure D ignorance. Garcelle said, Diana harasses me every day on social media. She said, please leave me alone. I just want to be left alone. Leave me alone. Well, you know what, Diana Jenkins? I'm speaking directly to you, honey. Leave Garcelle the hell alone, okay? And find something else to do with your time. Andy, I will not watch next season with Diana on there. And if you think I'm playing, and I know you probably don't care, honey, but just try it, okay? And Diana, leave this woman alone. Okay, if you don't like her, that's fine. But there's no reason for you guys to harass her because it's making me feel like something else. Okay, and I don't want to get on my soapbox and start talking about it, honey, but it could be a whole thing. So please, respectfully, leave this woman and her child alone. And that was the end of reunion part 1. When I tell you the first part of this reunion was so triggering for me, watching Garcelle have to fend for herself and this lady sitting there knowing that she's lying. Why would a random bot insert your name, Diana? Why? But see, what you don't understand is bots make mistakes. That's why when I have lives, I don't hire that night bot, because they're a robot at the end of the day. Anything could happen. Leave this damn lady alone. And I can't stand how these women sit up and try to gang up on Garcelle and always feel like they have to have Diana's back. Kyle, you could have just sat there. There was no need for you and your suspenders to say a word. Okay? Like, just sit there and hush. Share your comment down below and tell me exactly what you thought about part 1. It was something else. I didn't think it was going to really get into this, because when Jamie Lee came out, I was like, okay, typical part 1, very humdrum, but they really laying it all out on the table. So I can't wait to see when Kathy comes out, baby. It's really going to be a fool. Please don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, stay safe, stay blessed, spread love, not germs. Peace.